It's Monday, April 13th. This is CTV at 6. Here's what's making news tonight. Long-term care workers walk out of seniors' facilities as a strike begins. The latest on the truck crash and oil spill that has blocked highway traffic.
Well, it looks like we won't be lacking for April showers this week. On the plus side, though, temperatures will be mostly milder.
Live from our Maritimes News Center, this is CTV News at 6. Here is Todd Battis.
Good evening. Thousands of long-term care workers in Nova Scotia are on the picket line at this hour. The strike began early this morning. While essential care continues, the workers want better pay. The province insists that's what's being offered. CTV's Jonathan McGuinness reports.
Workers from 24 long-term care homes from Cape Breton to Yarmouth are on strike.
I support them because they've been waiting a long time for a raise.
That support comes despite Janet Fleming's mother being a resident at Ocean View Continuing Care Centre in Eastern Passage. While her mother's needs are being met so far, she hopes the contract standoff doesn't drag on.
I hope they realize, the government realizes that they need to do something about it soon, that this can't go on forever, or there will be some concerns. So
it is not ideal, and it makes me very sad that we are in this particular situation.
Nova Scotia's Minister of Seniors and Long-Term Care says legally, all day-to-day needs of the residents must continue to be met during the strike.
There is an essential service agreement that has to be in place, which is a legally binding contract that says essential services, which include bathing, dressing, your meals, and your medication. So all of these things must continue.
The government's offer stands at a wage increase between 12% and 24% and a 70% increase in shift premium, all of it retroactive to 2023. That's not enough, according to the union president.
Members are burnt out. They have to work multiple hours, overtime shifts, and sometimes second and even third jobs to make a go of life in Nova Scotia right now.
While 2,200 workers from the 24 facilities are on strike, in total, CUPE represents 52 long-term care homes in the province. They say more strike notices could be issued in the coming days.
We're looking for the government to get back to the table, to help get us back to work, to doing what we know and love best, and that's taking care of our residents.
Minister Barbara Adams says identical deals have been accepted by workers in acute care and home care staff, which includes some CUPE members. Well, Todd, picketers hit the sidewalk here in Eastern Passage and across Nova Scotia at 7 a.m. this morning. They tell me they'll be here until 7 p.m. tonight, and they say they'll be back each day until they get a fair deal from the province. Todd.
That's CTV's Jonathan McGuinness in Eastern Passage for us tonight. In the CTV web poll, we're asking this: should long-term care workers be allowed to strike? Your options are yes, they should have the right to strike, or no, they should be considered essential. Now, we'll have some questions for the minister responsible for senior care, who you saw in John's piece. That is after 6:30. To read more on the strike and vote in the poll, visit our website, ctvnewsatlantic.ca. We continue to follow the truck crash just north of St. John, which has blocked a section of Route 1. Camera video from a car shows the moment the double-long tanker rolled over before spilling oil last week. As CTV's Avery McCrae reports, officials did provide some answers today.
The video is jarring. Footage obtained by CTV shows the seconds leading up and the rollover itself of a tanker truck on Highway 1 last Wednesday in southern New Brunswick that saw around 36,000 liters of fuel spilled.
Investigation is still ongoing.
Seaboard Liquid Carriers has been identified by the province as the responsible party of the fuel spill, who will be on the hook for the cleanup cost, which isn't yet known. As for how the crash occurred or if charges will be laid, the province's Deputy Environment Minister says it's too early to tell.
We're well on our way in regards to cleaning the immediate impacted areas. So all the mitigations are in place to avoid anything getting worse or going further. So, for example, they have underflow dams and booms in the waterways so that it's not leaking away from the site.
As for when the cleanup will be completed and the eastbound section of the highway, which has been closed since Wednesday evening, will reopen, Awad says it's too early to tell. The government will follow the direction of Perio Engineering, who were hired by Seaboard Liquid Carriers to lead the cleanup efforts.
In the meantime, the department's been engaged by visiting neighbors or people that are houses within the area. I believe we visited 10 houses that were in the potentially impacted space. Ontario is working with them in regards to testing their wells to start doing some monitoring on their behalf if their wells would be impacted by the spill.
No timeline was given for those test results, but a strong smell of fuel remained around the impacted site today. CTV reached out to Seaboard Transport for comment on the spill, but have yet to respond. Avery McRae, CTV News, Nowidjawak, New Brunswick.
Today we heard from police and politicians about a meeting held last week to address the crime problem in downtown Moncton. An anti-crime coalition is demanding action on a series of issues. CTV's Derek Haggett has more.
Are there enough police officers in the greater Moncton area? It depends on who you ask.
We have enough to answer all the 911s that we get on a daily basis. What we do not have enough is to do everything that's asked of us of all three communities of Moncton, Dieppe, and Riverview.
The Enough is Enough Anti-Crime Coalition held a meeting last week with organizations responsible for public safety. They listed 4 demands to reduce crime, including a plan for police resources and acknowledging a crisis.
It sort of goes without saying yet that all 3 councils voted against hiring additional police officers only recently.
Last fall, the Tri-Community Councils rejected adding more Mounties until they saw data and performance indicators demonstrating a need.
We could probably use more, but I think, again, crime is evolving. Everything is changing. Is it the RCMP's responsibility to look after the people who are on our streets?
As far as the 4 demands, the Deputy Mayor thinks they're reasonable, while the police say anyone can ask for anything.
We're obviously going to answer based on data and evidence, and that's what we rely on. There's a lot of personal opinion in this as well, too. We can give opinions, but we always have to rely on facts.
The coalition will schedule a meeting in June with the new municipal councils and will be seeking a decision on their demands. Justice Minister Rob McKee was also present at last week's meeting. He turned down an interview request today, but in a statement says the Enough is Enough coalition have valid concerns and people in the city deserve to feel safe. Derek Haggett, CTV News, Moncton.
A cautionary story now for anyone who e-transfers money. A Maritime woman inadvertently sent thousands of dollars to the wrong email address, a simple typo that came with a cost. CTV's Brianne Foley has her story.
When sending e-transfers, one New Brunswick woman wants people to pay attention to the details.
I sent an e-transfer towards a kitchen restoration, like a down payment. There was an error, a typo, so I immediately went online and tried to cancel the e-transfer. But because it had auto deposit, I was unable to cancel from home. So I immediately contacted Scotiabank customer service.
Manuel says her bank told her to email the recipients to ask for the funds back and that they would try to place a hold on the account. But after a few days, she had not heard back.
I contacted Scotiabank and they opened up. I think it was a fraud investigation, but it was a mistaken e-transfer. It was sent to the wrong person. So they said that just keep checking your bank account. The funds should be returned within 10 days.
CTV reached out to Interact, who told us in part financial institutions are the primary point of contact for customers and are responsible for investigating reported issues and taking appropriate steps under their internal policies and applicable consumer protection rules. While reporting an issue right away improves the chances of recovery, not all situations can be resolved quickly. It's now been a month since the errant transfer was sent, and Marcia Manuel is still waiting to hear what's happened to her missing $3,500.
I also reached out to the Canada Deposit Insurance Corporation, which is the federal institution responsible for protecting Canadian savings. And Todd, they echoed what Interact said. While they protect Canadians in the event of institution failure, the CDIC does not cover losses when it comes to innocent mistakes or instances of fraud.
All right, lesson learned. CTV's Brianne Foley in the newsroom. Thank you for that, Brianne. A barn in West Hants, Nova Scotia has been completely flattened by a fire over the weekend. This started early Sunday morning on Rand Street and Hants border. The barn housed farm vehicles and machinery. Estimated damage is well over $1 million. Firefighters were assessed by paramedics on the scene. One was taken to hospital, later released. There were no other injuries. The cause of the fire is under investigation tonight. Here's a live look at downtown Moncton right now from the Avenir Centre. 7 degrees, wet conditions like much of the Maritimes. Let's bring in CTV meteorologist Kaylin Mitchell. And after what was a lovely Sunday, some folks started with some sunshine today, but a lot got wet.
That's right. So we're over to some soggy conditions that are going to persist as we make our way through this evening and tonight. Temperatures right now in the Maritimes, if you're headed out, are mostly in the single digits. Some of the cooler areas at the moment include northern and eastern parts of the region, right up in the north of New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island, parts of the east of Nova Scotia, including Cape Breton. Now, in a lot of cases, temperatures are going to level off, remain steady where they're at, or in some cases rise by a couple of degrees as we move through the night, and we continue in a steady south and southwest wind. Now, this wind has been a little bit blustery for some areas for today, continues that way into the first part of this evening with some gusts 30 to 50 kilometers per hour. The wind gusts will diminish a little bit, making our way towards midnight, but the winds will remain pretty steady again out of the south and southwest. The rain that's been coming in. Here's some preliminary rainfall reports from automated weather stations in and around the Maritimes. You can see in a lot of cases the initial rain has amounted to some totals between 3 and 10 millimeters, showing a little bit higher towards western areas of New Brunswick, which makes sense because that was one of the parts of the Maritimes that got into the rain first. In general, I expect that a good portion of the Maritimes will pick up about 5 to 15 millimeters of rain out of this system as it continues to move through this evening and tonight. That brings us to our current conditions. As we take a look at radar right now, you can still see we've got rain that's making its way across New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island, eastern areas of Nova Scotia. There was almost a brief lull in western Nova Scotia, but that's now filling back in with some rain, and there is some more to come as this weather front continues to make its way over the St. Lawrence River Valley. Now, in behind the front for tomorrow, we're going to get into this part of the weather system, which is a little bit further back into western areas of Quebec and parts of northern Ontario. You can see conditions there are a little bit more clear. It's not a blue sky day in the forecast for Tuesday, but I am expecting the sun to break through in the afternoon. Thought it'll be nice to get that little bit of a break because later Tuesday night into Wednesday, we are going to see the return of some April showers. So, of course, more on that extended forecast later on.
Okay, we will look forward to that little bit of daylight.
Yeah.
Thank you. Drivers got a bit of a break at the pumps in the past few days. Fuel prices in Nova Scotia dropped 6.7 cents on the weekend. Motorists in the Sydney area started this week with a litre of regular self-serve costing $1.86.6. That's down nearly 7 cents. Similar drops have been seen province-wide. Still, the Boys and Girls Club of Cape Breton says their passenger bus might not be used as much as it has been in previous months.
Filling that thing up the other day was over $200. So that's a big impact. I guess that will limit our trips, especially during our summer program coming up where we do a lot of field trips to the beaches. We go up to Shetty Camp camping. So I guess we're like everybody else. We'll have to start monitoring our trips.
Meanwhile, a fisherman's representative told CTV News it's costing about $1,000 more on average to send a truckload of Cape Breton lobster to market in Boston. And the changing situation in the Strait of Hormuz will certainly impact things. The price of a barrel of oil did rise this afternoon. The cost of flying is quickly escalating, forcing some Maritimers to rethink travel plans. CTV's Hafsa Arif has more.
As travel season approaches, Maritimers are starting to map out where they want to go. But costs for airfare have gone up, bringing down some of the excitement.
It is one more added expense that they're going to have to make a judgment call when they're looking at where they're going to travel to this summer.
Some airlines are already adding surcharges and raising ticket prices, which has left some Maritimers choosing to stay home.
We're happy to be in Canada, where typically it's safe.
Fares are up as much as 15%, and experts caution more increases are to come.
Fuel's gone nuts. You know, a month and a half ago, it was like $70, $75 a barrel for fuel, aviation fuel. It's now at $175, $180. So it's more than doubled.
But it also doesn't mean international travel will go away entirely.
So I think travelers will take it in stride. I mean, travel does continue to still be something that people want to spend their money on.
Meaning a boost for domestic tourism, which may eventually cause international airlines to cut back flights.
And I think availability is going to be a bigger issue over the next few weeks. More and more airports will start running out of fuel, and they'll ration fuel. And that's already the case in Southeast Asia.
Experts say most of the country is still in a good spot. While Canadians pay international prices for fuel, Canada has its own refineries, which means shortages aren't a concern.
There's a lot of talk going on now in Ottawa and in the provinces to reduce both federal and provincial fuel taxes.
But for the East Coast, fuel will likely be imported from the U.S., increasing costs for months ahead. So experts recommend booking early to avoid price hikes. Hafsa Arif, CTV News, Halifax.
Get the Maritime's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
There's been a lot of talk about reviving Nova Scotia's natural resources industry. There hasn't been much movement, but a project on the province's eastern shore has been given the go-ahead to reopen a shuttered mine, promising jobs and revenue. CTV's Jesse Thomas reports.
Work at the Tukoi gold mine in Moose River is expected to ramp up later this year after a work permit was approved by government. But there won't be any blasting or digging. That work has already been done. Atlantic Mining plans to process a stockpile of ore sitting on the site and turn it into 40,000 ounces of gold.
So far as there was still, ore to be processed there, about 3 million tons that would provide roughly $200 million in development and economic benefit to the province.
Owned by Australia-based St. Barbara, Atlantic Mining operated the Tukoi mine site from 2017 to 2023, employing nearly 400 people at its peak. Since then, the workforce has dropped to around 40, but officials will rebuild the workforce, they say, soon.
It'll be about 197, or just shy of 200 jobs that we anticipate, creating for this time that we're processing.
The Tim Houston government is clear they want to revive the mining sector, particularly around strategic minerals like gold and other critical minerals, pitching it as a path to greater economic prosperity. The Department of Natural Resources says this approval and another at the Goldboro site signals Nova Scotia is open for business while stressing the industry is heavily regulated.
We're worked collectively together to make sure that not only we are efficiently permitting a project, we are providing strong oversight to that to make sure that the project is safe, it is responsible, and it does bring benefits to Nova Scotians.
The processing work at the Tukoi mine is expected to last between 10 to 14 months, but the company has its sights on transitioning its operations to the 15-mile gold mine project site located between Sheet Harbour and New Glasgow, where they hope to mine for gold for the next decade. No permits have been submitted yet. Jesse Thomas, CTV News, Halifax.
We got a look at new transitional housing units in St. John today. People are expected to start moving in this week. As CTV's Nick Moore shows us, these new suites offer some big differences from what's nearby.
The expanded transitional housing site next to the existing Neighbourly Homes location on Thorne Avenue was approved by City Council in February to include 14 new micro-suites. Marcel Lebrun is the executive director of 12 Neighbours Inc., which also operates the other existing transitional housing units nearby. Lebrun says these new units are different.
So these are fully equipped units with kitchens and bathrooms, similar to what a regular market housing experience, yet still staffed 24/7, still supportive, so there's still staff there to help people get stabilized.
Lebrun says the new units will present a new level of independence for the residents.
We have people now that are full-time employed, and some of those are going to move into here where they have more independence and then ultimately move out of here into more permanent housing. So that's the model, and some people can progress really quickly through that. They just need a little something to get their feet under.
The city announced in February that managing responsibilities for the Thorne Avenue and Egbert Street transitional housing sites would switch to the provincial government in April. 7 people will move in here on Wednesday, with another 7 people moving in by the end of the month. Nick Moore, CTV News, St. John.
Looking across the country, there's a lot at stake in 3 federal by-elections in Canada today. Will the Liberals get their much-wanted majority, or will opposition parties gain ground? Join CTV News tonight for results and analysis. Coverage begins at 8 o'clock our time on News Channel, the web, live on Crave. We're back after this. New Brunswick and Nova Scotia are trying to combat a long-standing problem on their shorelines: illegal lobster catches. CTV's Laura Brown reports on new measures being taken to investigate and possibly recoup lost tax revenue.
There's more lobster making its way to shore than is being reported, according to the Nova Scotia and New Brunswick governments. And those provinces are tired of losing out on millions. So they've each created enforcement teams to try and catch the culprits.
What is the province going to get in return for $667,000 for lobster police?
The team of 5 in New Brunswick, 4 in Nova Scotia will aid Fisheries and Oceans Canada to monitor and inspect lobster landings and investigate inventories to ensure what's on paper matches what actually came to shore.
There's records, export data, buying data, landings data is not accurate, which isn't helpful for science, for trying to ensure sustainability of the lobster sector.
The Lobster Council of Canada has wanted this for years, and while it's hard to put a number on it, the Nova Scotia government estimates it's losing up to $400 million in annual tax revenues, far less in New Brunswick, where the province believes it's between $5 and $7 million. But that government promises no one is being targeted.
If you have a license, you are subject to inspections.
A longtime shoreside tradition that sees people buying fresh lobster right off the side of a boat for cash is fine, so long as the harvester is declaring it. But not all do, says the council.
They aren't pointing fingers at one side of this industry or the other. They're pointing fingers at everybody because there are bad actors on both sides.
New Brunswick started the hiring process for these enforcement officers just last week. The Maritime Fishermen's Union didn't say if they're in favor of this, only that they will wait and see what will come of it. Laura Brown, CTV News, Fredericton.
Focus was on the talents, efforts, and successes of women at a Fredericton event this past weekend. CTV's Ava McRae stopped by the annual Women's Show.
In New Brunswick's capital city, the past weekend was all about women celebrating women.
There's not a lot of specific women-owned events, so it was really important to me that we had something in Fredericton where people really felt like they could all come together as one.
According to the annual Fredericton Women's Show, hundreds of women strolled through the over 80 booths at the event, each highlighting a different female entrepreneur in the region. One of those booths featured Jamie Murdoch of Journey Fitness Studio.
This event is more than just your average show. It's about women who are entrepreneurs, who are chasing their dreams, and they're just truly showing up for themselves in all shapes and forms.
Vendors like Sarah Bernard are no stranger to these types of shows, but says there is a difference with women at the helm.
The energy is different. There's women, they're smiling, everybody's getting their cup filled, and it's all about support, collaboration, connection.
The weekend also featured panel discussions and keynote speakers, headlined by Nova Scotia social media influencer Alicia McCarville.
Any opportunity to empower women-owned businesses, to create spaces where women feel safe, they're far and few between, and the world feels really heavy right now. So to come into a space like this, to get to walk around and see the joy and the support and friends showing up with friends, it's a pretty incredible place to be.
In her keynote address, McCarville shared how being body positive can be a struggle, which she quickly learned at the event she isn't alone in. But through positivity, she is helping herself and others see their beauty.
There was a woman that just came up wearing a crop top today just because of the conversation yesterday, and that will never, ever feel real.
Because when women are supported, everyone is. Ava McRae, CTV News, Fredericton.
Thank you, Avery. Still to come, after this wet weather, the sun is going to break through. Might not be for very long, but it will break through. Kaylin has the details next. Rain swept across the region today, but it didn't start out that way in Cape Breton. The day began with, as you can see here, clear skies over downtown Sydney. Though, yes, the clouds and the showers did eventually move in, but boy, did it start out nice.
Nice to see a little bit of sunshine there, some bright conditions at the beginning of the day in Cape Breton, as is often the case with this type of weather system. Cape Breton sort of last into it and also be last out of it. But the bulk of this wet weather is expected to clear across the Maritimes as we move through tonight. We'll get back and take a look at that in our timeline in a moment. Let's begin, though, by taking a look at some weather conditions across the country. Not doing too bad out in the south coast of BC. A little cool, 11 degrees right now at Vancouver and 13 at Victoria. We also have 13s at Edmonton and Calgary. Then it cools into Saskatchewan and Manitoba. Winnipeg right now sitting at 4 degrees. Up north, Whitehorse reporting a little bit of snow, sitting at 0. It's colder at Yellowknife with a mix of sun and clouds, sitting at -11. To Iqaluit, -6, and reporting a little bit of snow. There's some very warm temperatures in southern Ontario right now. Are you seeing this? Windsor, 27 degrees at the moment, 21 at Toronto, 18 degrees at Ottawa, and then Montreal sitting at 15 degrees. Quite warm as well around the northeastern U.S., 24 at New York and 20 at Boston. Not so much for us here in the Maritimes, though. 7 degrees right now at Fredericton, 5 at Halifax, 4 at Charlottetown, and up into Newfoundland, St. John's right now sitting at 4 degrees. Taking a look at our timeline for the wet weather moving through as we head towards midnight, the bulk of the rain actually clears the province of New Brunswick. And behind it, there will be some patchy fog and drizzle into early Tuesday morning. Rain will continue to clear Prince Edward Island, Nova Scotia, as we make our way through the overnight hours. Here's the start of the day for tomorrow. Mostly cloudy around the Maritimes, some fog patches around. Those will be dissipating or retreating just off the coastline as we make our way into the afternoon. Notice how the grays break up a little bit. Parts of New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island, certainly western areas of Nova Scotia. Those are areas where the sun will shine through a little bit more tomorrow afternoon. It does remain a little bit cloudier towards the east of Nova Scotia, including Cape Breton, but even there, some peaks of sunshine wouldn't surprise me at all. And then the next round of wet weather arrives for Tuesday evening and Tuesday night. Rain and showers first moving into New Brunswick and then Prince Edward Island and Nova Scotia overnight into Wednesday morning. On Wednesday itself, mostly cloudy. May see some patchy showers and drizzle in the region. Additional rainfall amounts for the rest of tonight into the start of the day for tomorrow, in most cases, will range from around 2 to 5 millimeters. A little bit more than that towards eastern areas of Nova Scotia, including parts of Cape Breton. Taking a look at winds in the forecast for tomorrow, they're going to become north and northwest, and they'll be sustained 10 to 20 kilometers per hour with some gusts between 20 and 40. And most temperatures for tonight are either steady where they're at now or will rise a couple of degrees as the south and southwest winds continue on. So lows 3 to 7 degrees tonight for New Brunswick, around the mid-single digits for Prince Edward Island, and mostly expected to eventually be in the range of around 5 to 10 degrees for Nova Scotia. High temperatures for tomorrow in the north of New Brunswick between 7 and 12 degrees. The mix of sun and cloud during the day and then showers later Tuesday evening and night. Central and southern areas of New Brunswick for tomorrow. Some high temperatures in the low to mid-teens. Mildest in the southwest. St. Stephen right now 15 degrees. Prince Edward Island for tomorrow. High temperatures between 6 and 10 degrees. It'll be cloudy with sunny breaks. Cape Breton with high temperatures between 4 and 9 degrees. A little bit cooler in Inverness County. Parts of the east of Nova Scotia, mainland Nova Scotia, between 7 and 9. Cumberland, Colchester counties for tomorrow. Hants County, most of the high temperatures between 9 and 12 degrees. Halifax and Dartmouth, closer to 13. In the Annapolis Valley tomorrow, 15 at Kentville and 15 at Middleton, 12 at Digby, and then on the south shore of Nova Scotia, 14 at Yarmouth and Barrington, and we've got 15 for Shelburne and Liverpool, 18 degrees at Bridgewater. Taking a look at the forecast over the next 7 days for New Brunswick. Showers expected on Wednesday. Rain arriving Thursday night. Clearing is a chance of showers on Friday. It's followed by a mix of sun and cloud for the start of the weekend on Saturday. Another round of April rain and showers arriving late Sunday, finishing as a chance of showers on Monday. For Nova Scotia in the forecast this week, most temperatures will be near to slightly above seasonable all the way through into the start of the weekend, but there is some wet weather. Patchy showers or drizzle on Wednesday. Another round of showers coming in Thursday night into Friday. A mix of sun and cloud on Saturday. And rain arrives late in the day on Sunday, followed by a chance of showers on Monday. And for Prince Edward Island, it's showers in the forecast for Wednesday. Thursday night, another round of showers moves in, kind of clears through on Friday. Mix of sun and cloud to get the weekend started. Then another round of rain and showers coming in Sunday night into Monday. Todd.
Okay. Thank you, Kalen. We'll see you for the wake up at the end of the show. Next, we'll talk about the strike at Nova Scotia's long-term care homes with a minister. And we will have that right after the break.
With Aaron and Peter. We're getting you all decked out with Kent. You can win $2,000 in brand new patio furniture and decor.
Enter once an hour at our website, move100halifax.ca.
Welcome back. Well, as you saw off the top of the show, long-term care workers in Nova Scotia are on strike. They took to picket lines early this morning. No agreement has been reached. Nova Scotia's long-term care and seniors minister is Barbara Adams, and she joins us in studio. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Good to have you. Right off the top, maybe you can give us a sense of where things stand. Are there any efforts to get both sides back to the negotiation table?
So right now, what I want to start by reassuring all Nova Scotians that anytime there is an opportunity for someone to go on strike, there is what's called an essential service agreement that has to be in place. And this is a contract between the employer and the employees to make sure that essential services are provided to anybody's loved one in long-term care. So that means that things like bathing and dressing, their meals and their medication, all of the essential things are going to continue to be provided to our loved ones in long-term care.
At the same level of care that would be when there otherwise isn't job action?
There will be some slight differences there, and each of those agreements is negotiated with the employer, so each nursing home itself would have slightly different provisions in place, but every nursing home that is on strike right now will have those essential services provided by all of the staff that are there.
Okay, where are you in terms of talks with the union?
So right now, the 12 to 24% wage offer that would extend between 2023 and 2027, plus the 70% increase in the shift differential, was offered to acute care, and they have accepted the deal. It was offered to home care, and they've accepted the deal. And 27 long-term care facilities other than CUPE have all accepted the deal at this time. So what we're hoping is that CUPE will take the same offer to their members and let them all know what's in the deal, and remind them that this is a retroactive deal going between 2023 and 2027. So there will be considerable back pay offered to everyone.
Okay, but at this point, there's no talking. Right.
But right now, we're encouraging the union to take the deal to all of its members because we've heard that some of the members are not aware of what's actually on the table.
How long would you be willing to let this go? Because the union's been adamant that they're willing to stay out as long as they deem necessary.
So as someone who's worked in long-term care as a health professional, anytime service is disrupted, we want it to end as quickly as possible. So we're encouraging CUPE to take the offer to their members and, in fact, to let them vote on it, because that hasn't happened yet as well.
Okay. They've been without a contract for the better part of 3 years now, since 2023. How did it get to this point? How did it take so long?
So the preference was to have acute care get settled first. So they waited for that, and then home care settled second. And all of them accepted the exact same deal that's now on the table, the 12 to 24% plus the 70% shift differential, and several of the long-term care facilities. So although it is a 2023 contract, the pay will be retroactive back to that point, and the minimum amount of back pay that someone could expect is a full-time employee would be $1,600. As soon as this contract is signed, they will be getting that pay, plus more than that if their hourly rate was higher than that.
Union members maintain they're the lowest paid in Atlantic Canada. Would this bring them up to equitable levels with other provinces?
So it's difficult when you're comparing across provinces because there are a number of things that go into a contract. This offer is from 2023 to 2027, so it is not appropriate to compare to what an offer might be for years extending between 2027 and 2031, which will be the next deal that will be negotiated for these very same members, October of 2027.
You said earlier you're concerned that there's some misinformation out there. What is that misinformation?
Well, for starters, we were hearing from a number of people that they weren't aware of what the offer was. There was another item put out that they were only getting an 18-cent increase, and that's not the case. It's 12 to 24% across the board for all of the people who are working in long-term care, plus it's retroactive, plus there's a 70% pay differential for evening, weekend, and holiday. And those things were not necessarily being communicated to everyone, nor was the fact that we want wage parity. We want, if you're a nurse working in home care or a hospital, to be paid the same as somebody working in long-term care, and members aren't aware that thousands of other people have already accepted the offer, including CUPE members in acute care.
So you want CUPE to take this to their members, as you mentioned earlier. How much time are you allotting for that before you want to hear from them?
Well, As someone who knows how hard our staff work in long-term care, I would have hoped that they would have taken the offer to them before it reached this point. So I'm encouraging them to do that as quickly as tomorrow.
Okay. And again, Minister, before we finish off here, if anybody is watching this from outside of Nova Scotia, perhaps across the country, and have mothers or fathers in an LTC in this province, what would you tell them about what's happening?
What I'd like to tell everyone is that this government has shown that we will invest heavily in the people in this province and in this sector. We gave, years ago, a 23% pay raise to CCAs. We gave a $10,000 retention bonus to all of the LPNs and RNs working in healthcare, and a $5,000 retention bonus to everybody working in hospital, home care, or long-term care. Plus, we've also increased the staffing levels in long-term care to the highest level in the country, and we've also reduced the injury rate in long-term care every year under the last years.
Can you assure them, though, that their family members are safe and well looked after while this strike's happening?
I can assure you that the essential service contract, plus I know the staff who work in there, they are amazing people. They're doing it because they love their job, and they're going to make sure that their loved ones are getting the essential care that they need.
Mr. Adams, thank you for taking the time to come in tonight. Certainly appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having me.
We'll take a break. We'll be back more with much more of your local news right after this. In health and medical news, if you need a push to get your body moving, science just gave you another one. CTV's Amanda Debison has more in tonight's edition of The Lifeline.
For some people, depression is a lingering issue, but new evidence suggests that workouts of any kind, any intensity, and any length can help lift your spirits. In fact, exercise was as effective as medication or talk therapy at reducing symptoms of depression, including fatigue, trouble concentrating, and sleep issues. Strength training workouts appear to have the strongest benefits, but cardio work too. Though it can be hard to get moving at the start, experts say finding a workout buddy or a group class can make that first step a lot easier. Music festival season is around the corner, bringing crowds together for live music. But experts say preparation is key to staying safe. Medical professionals warn that heat, dehydration, and substance use are among the most common risks at large outdoor events. Attendees are advised to stay hydrated, wear appropriate clothing, know festival rules, and stick with friends. Planning ahead and pacing yourself can help ensure a safer and more enjoyable experience. This comes as YQM Country Fest in Dieppe and Cavendish Beach Music Festival in PEI return this summer. Finally, this may have been a life-changing trip to the car dealership.
Like I say, that could potentially have saved my life.
When Dave from Edmonton picked up his new car, the dealership was handing out a special pill case that helps prevent heart attacks. The local Honda dealership does this every February for Heart Month. When Dave experienced a heart attack, he had his medication ready because of this case. The case was developed at the University of Alberta with input from doctors. Now recovered, Dave had a chance to meet the people who made the case and say thanks. With Health and Medical News, I'm Amanda Debison for The Lifeline.
For many Canadians, pets are family, and they're making plans to protect them, from naming guardians to setting aside money for their care. CTV PEI reporter Maria Saru looks at the options.
At the PEI Humane Society, help sometimes starts with a gentle touch. But caring for these animals takes more than affection. Some are sick, need surgery or specialized treatment, which all comes with a cost. Supporters are helping cover those expenses even after they're gone by including the shelter in their wills.
The cost of veterinary care, just like everything else in Canada, is increasing. So that's a huge expense for us that we would definitely use gifts like that for.
It's known as legacy giving. People can leave a percentage of their estate to a charity or name it as a beneficiary through life insurance or registered savings, and there are other options too.
Ready?
For some, the planning starts closer to home by choosing who would care for their pets and paying for it.
Our loved ones are not just our children, our parents, our siblings, our friends.
They are also our furry companions.
According to Willful, an online estate planning platform, more than 1 in 3 Canadians are setting aside an average cash gift of over $11,100 to pet guardians.
But unfortunately, one of the top reasons that pets end up in shelters is because their owner passes away and there's no plan for who will take over their care.
Back at the shelter, legacy gifts help with future planning.
Staff here hope more people will make estate plans early for the pets they love and the animals still waiting for a home. Maria Saru, CTV News, Charlottetown.
In our Monday market report, the Dow opened the trading week up 300 points. With Middle East peace talks collapsing on the weekend, oil stocks were expected to rise today and other stocks dropped, but both gained. BNN Bloomberg's Marilla Fernandez has more.
The price of oil spiked back up again today, with the U.S. now moving to block the Strait of Hormuz. West Texas Intermediate shot up to $103 a barrel this morning before settling back to under $98 by the end of the trading day. Traffic through the key shipping route has dramatically slowed down after Donald Trump threatened to eliminate Iranian ships that come close to the U.S. blockade. GFL Environmental, a Canadian waste management company, is buying Secure Waste Infrastructure for $6.4 billion. Secure Waste has over 80 locations across Western Canada and North Dakota. It's a cash and stock deal that's expected to close in the back half of the year. The state of Texas is investigating whether Lululemon has forever chemicals in its clothing. PFASs, as they are known, have been linked in studies to health problems like cancer. They're typically used to make goods water or stain resistant. Lululemon has told BNN Bloomberg the company stopped using these chemicals in 2023. Here are the closing numbers for the day. The Canadian dollar is up to 72.53. West Texas Intermediate is up to 97.84. Western Canadian Select is down to 72.40. And the TSX gained 183 points today. Those are your business headlines. I'm Marilla Fernandez.
One more check of the weather. Kaylin, outside on the deck.
Yeah, thank you, Todd. I brought the umbrella out with me, but I don't exactly need it at this moment because it's just light drizzle falling, though there will be still some more rain coming through the Halifax area as we make our way through tonight. Did see, and we have been talking about the changes in weather conditions across the Maritimes throughout the day today as this front approached, and that included these clouds that were moving in early in the day near sunrise in Timberlea, Nova Scotia. These are stratocumulus clouds. They're a mid-level cloud. They're often a sign that there's some moisture, a little bit of instability present, a little bit higher up in the atmosphere, and often a sign that there's going to be a change in the weather coming, like, for example, the weather front that's moving through now. These are the type of clouds that often give rise to that saying, mackerel sky, not 24 hours dry. Timberlea for tomorrow can expect some fog around in the morning, some sunny breaks in the afternoon. You know what that sun breaking through, high temperature in the Timberlea area could touch pretty close to 14 degrees. Day planner for tomorrow across the Maritime region. Morning temperatures will be mostly around the mid to high single digits. Fair amount of cloud cover around, as well as that fog that I mentioned. The fog will be dissipating, though, retreating off parts of the coastline as we make our way into and through the afternoon. The high temperatures tomorrow in many parts of the Maritimes, low to mid-teens, except a little bit cooler for Prince Edward Island, eastern areas of Nova Scotia, and some of the northernmost communities in New Brunswick. Todd.
All right, Kaylin, thank you. We will see you tomorrow. And coming up here tomorrow at 6 as well, seeking a majority. How will today's by-elections change things in Ottawa? We'll look into what the by-election results mean for the governing Liberals and the political landscape for all parties. That's tomorrow night here on your local news at 6. And finally for us tonight, some cool video from Miami over the weekend, a controlled implosion. Take a look at this. That is, or was, the Mandarin Oriental Hotel, and it came down in a cloud of dust Sunday. The implosion of the famed hotel in Miami has been a year in the making. The tower of the hotel, the main part, went first. That was followed by the parking garage. All of it came down in less than 20 seconds. Another view of it. It was done so it spiraled into itself and debris fell into the building's footprint. The 18-floor hotel closed last year. Well, that's it for us tonight. Bruce Frisco's here at 11:30. Our website and the app has updates anytime. I'm Todd Battis. Hope to see you right back here tomorrow. Good night.
CTV News, the Maritime's #1 newscast. Watch live on Crave.